Okay, so here is all the parts we're going to need to build the torso unit of the Jesta Cannon. A lot of them have been is parts that I remembered from the original kit, but there's some added features that we're going to cover. First up, I took this part here, and I took the luxury of putting on the two small trim parts at the front, for those of you who remember. Slide that in like so, and put in the neck connector here. I'm going to take this part, put that in here, make sure it's nice and even Steven, like that. And we'll take this part and make sure that goes here, and then the back part of the torso, snap them into place like so. Take this part, put that in on top. It's nice and snug. And we'll take this, put this part, oops, wrong one, here it is, this ball joint here. Yeah, as you can see, many people are saying, oh, why don't I just paint my kit? Well, don't feel like it. There we go. I'm catering to those who do not have the tools to paint their kits. Alright, so we have this part here that goes like this. This is the added extra feature, which is basically the front part of the chest area, which is increased up for extra added armor. So this is the only change I've seen in the torso for now. For the backpack, you take these two parts, these two polycaps, and put them in the back like so. You close them up. You'll see nothing else that's required for me to put in here. I'm just gonna make sure that this is aligned properly. There we go. And that's right. And then put the poly ball joint here for the thrusters, and put them here. For those of you who like those HD parts, you probably want to put them on this to replace these, you know, basic thrusters that this thing comes with. And then you put this on like this. There you have it. The torso of the Jesta Cannon is now complete. Notable difference, of course, is the upper part of the chest armor. Alright, that's cool. Let's move on to the next part. Okay, so the next part of the build is the head. And the head is pretty simple. All you need to do is put these two together right here. And then you take this part, the part that represents the visor. I kind of like the amber visor, really nice. Snap it into place like so, so it's all the way in. And you want to put the side trim parts. I think one goes here, and the other one goes there. Like so. Then you have this part, which I think I might as well do this. I have to use old number 1. For the sensor. Like that. put number 2. At least it's numbered for the back area. There we go. And then finally, put this on like that. There's the head unit. Nothing different about the head, of course. It's the same one as before. So pretty much everything is all around the body, but the head is complete. Alright, let's move on to the next part. So the next stage of this build is going to be the arms of the Jesta Cannon. This is, of course, identical to previous arms. I'm sorry, the arms of the regular Jesta. However, you'll notice two distinct things. First things first. When I was removing the parts from the tree, some of these parts, of course, are not, are not to be used. Mainly this part. This is the original shoulder of the Jesta. The new shoulder is quite bigger than this. As a matter of fact, I was under the distinct impression that you have to build this and then the added armored parts goes over it. Needless to say, it is not the case. Let's prepare this. So I'll need some other things here. I'll need this. I've already got the other one removed. Yeah, for now we need that. So we'll need, actually no. We'll take this little part here. And then this part, slide it down like that. Like so. Then this is the new shoulder of the Jesta Cannon, because it's the added armor and weaponry system, you could say. This one goes here. Make sure that it's in this position. While another polycap, and forgive me for not having it ready, polycap number 1 is required for this part. There we go. So it looks like that. And then just mainly seal it up. Now, for those of you who want to paint this, and this thing just came off. For those of you who want to paint this, bear in mind, it suffers the same issue where the seam line is right in the middle of a part where it should have been another way, but I guess they couldn't avoid that. They couldn't. I guess maybe the molding process. The molding process for this cannot allow it to have these two parts as, separate parts, and then the top one being one that goes over it. Maybe it could not be done. So you see the seam line there. So for those of you who want to paint this, make sure that you glue it, you sand it down evenly and normally, and you should be fine. So you see, this is the shoulder, completely different from the original Jesta shoulder. Yeah. Then you have these two parts, which when you put them on, there's a little notch here that sticks out further. That goes inwards of the shoulder part. This represents, I guess, the missile pods, missile launchers. Alright, so this part is done. Going back to this part, I'm going to put this octagonal polycap there. Then with the octagonal polycap in so position, I'm going to take this part, put it like so, and close that up like so. Now, normally I would do one arm and then show it off, one and then the other one. But this one I'm building both, both arms because the arms are different. They're not the same. For example, this arm here is the right arm. And how would I know that this is the right arm? Well, it has the spacing here, so you can place the E-packs, each cartridges for your weapon, which is a cool thing. I like that. I can't wait to see that. I don't know. As a matter of fact, hang on a second. Let me see if I forgot to pull it out for this demonstration build. It's here somewhere. Hold on a sec. Alright, here it is. This is the part. I'm assuming that when the master grade version of the Jesta comes out, this is not one solid part. This is, 3 cartridges into one, and then, you could simulate like a scene where the Jesta just expelled out all his ammunition in one cartridge, and then put a, popped out a new one from his arm. Alright, so we have the polycap that supports the hand, and then here's the remaining one. Again, this is something that you may want to look into priming. Gluing together and then sanding it down. For those of you who want, review my Jesta build. You'll see what I did. And then there's this part that goes right there. So that's done. And then we have this part that goes here, nice and smooth. We have another part here that goes here, nice and smooth. And then we have this that goes like that, nice and smooth. So that arm is done. Going on to the next arm. If you give me a second, next page. Same process as before. The only difference of oh yeah, I just keep forgetting. Where's the pump? Oh. Should remove that first. Alright, so going back to this, we have this part that goes here. This is a little different now because it's exposing certain parts of the arm. But you take this guy here and this guy here. That covers this part. This, of course, eliminates this one because this belonged to this. Then finish it up with this. And then the shoulder part. There we go. And there you have it. The arms of the Jesta Cannon is now complete. Clearly you see a lot more definition on the Jesta Cannon's armor here on the right arm. I'm sorry, the left arm and the shoulders. Right arm has nothing, but I guess they did that because it needs the flexibility of using the weaponry. But I kind of like what I'm seeing here. Alright, let's move on to the next part.